and my husband's out of town, and so are a lot of other people that have been diligently working on this group. So we feel like our concerns are not being heard. We feel like perhaps on this process things got pushed along without us being notified. Evan-Talon has made the comment that perhaps they were unaware of this rezoning, that they weren't sure if it covered them. And we all know that if you're doing business in a city, especially this amount of money, you're going to find out what's going on. And we also know that realtors know what's going on in their area. It's part of their job to know what's coming down the pipe. So we find it hard to believe that they didn't know. They might have, in fact, been going with the old school of thought of ask for forgiveness, not permission. So we all feel like perhaps we were left out of this equation. And I'm sorry, but we've lived here a long time. We've paid taxes for a long time. And we're concerned with our community. We went to these meetings to see that we got new zoning in our city that made sense for Prairie Village, that made sense in the neighborhood. We all thought that they would have to adhere to Indian Fields regulations because that's how this was all originally planned, that our neighborhood would keep looking like our neighborhood. And somewhere along the way, that was forgotten. And they got to have new zoning and new regulations and new height restrictions that aren't the story and a half that the rest of us go by. We weren't notified. Yes, I suppose we could have stayed on the city side watching everything. But I will also say that your staff report dated October 2nd, 2014, when Ron Williamson, was the planning consultant, made some recommendations that haven't been followed. And that was the meeting at which some decisions were made by you with a special committee meeting that we were not aware of. So it's my recommendation that you all make sure that you're following your own guidelines. One of those is that the applicant prepare covenants to guarantee the maintenance of any storm drainage improvements in common areas, if any. It also says the applicant should protect and preserve as much existing vegetation as possible on site during the construction. And if you come up there now, you'll see it's clear cut. There's no vegetation. You know, my yard went from being a shade yard and a shade garden to being full on sun because of all of the trees, that beautiful walnut grove that was ripped out. In addition to that, also the Prairie Village, City of Prairie Village codes also require a lot of things that are not on these drawings. Things like, this is from your all stuff. Each developer permittee has the responsibility and duty to properly operate and maintain any on-site stormwater detention facility, and it has to be accepted by the city. And such responsibility is then to be transferred to subsequent owners if the city doesn't accept the maintenance. I don't know if you all have seen the flood pictures. It hasn't been passed yet, and this is when they were building, and there was a lot of dirt. This is just an example. Have y'all seen these pictures?
And not. Could you hand them over and we'll pass them down, start over here. And while you're doing that, can I ask, do we have the recommendations from that special use permit from October of 2014? Is that in our packet? I didn't see them. And I know that Greg and I were probably the only two that were here on the planning commission. Oh, Jim was too. Okay. So I think that might be helpful to see what those recommendations were and if they are being followed, and if we are referring back to them. Mitch, do you refer back recommendations on the special use permit?
As far as,
Yeah, what Ron Williamson and the planning commission suggested as far as recommendations that is Hines
H-I-M.
is advising us of.
for the drainage issues,
On things like, yeah, the storm drainage, and maintenance, and all of that. That should be just mentioned.
There's more pictures, more stats in the same if you want to.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, I have so many options here.
Oh, okay.
So they're all the same.
I can speak to the requirements from Ron's report on the plat. We do look at those. The grading one, I believe, the recommendation was to retain as much of the existing vegetation. I don't know exactly why that was not done, but I think there are some reasons that were looked at in the permitting and the grading. The other that was mentioned is the maintenance of any drainage facilities and the covenants be filed, and those have been filed.
Yeah, I just heard this evening earlier that it was up to the individual homeowners to maintain the swale in the backyards.
It would be, and that's why, so the covenants do state that, and they've been filed and reported with the existing plat, so that condition has been met. That's why in our report on this application is if any of that changes, we want those covenants to be amended to whatever the new solution is, so that continues to be maintained. But it's a way of putting all of the separate owners on notice that it's their obligation.
I also am aware, according, again, to your guidelines, that there is supposed to be a stormwater concept plan that includes several components. Is there such a plan?
Stormwater concept.
Stormwater concept plan.
yeah, we have a stormwater study that was approved.
Could you turn on the microphone, please?
It's on.
Oh.
I'm not talking.
There you go.
Yeah, we have a completed stormwater management plan that was submitted, reviewed, changed many times, and was completed. And,
So we can see that then.
absolutely.
Okay, that would be great. We should see that because it definitely is supposed to be prepared, signed, sealed by a professional engineer, and it lists A through G items that are supposed to be included in it. And they'll be, it will probably address some of our concerns, of course. And in that area, I showed the plan to the EPA, and there are some concerns with that stormwater runoff because, of course, one of the things that you shouldn't do when you're developing is merely send the water downhill. And so by having retention or by having bioswales or having rain gardens, you let the water percolate. Things are supposed to retain and seep into the soil, not detain and throw off into our neighbors. So if this pipe had to be built, a 5-foot pipe, to accommodate the additional runoff that they anticipate from the different hard surfaces, that means that all of that extra rain is going to go across the street to the creek where our children go to school, and flood through there and flood Mission Hills, even more than it does now. Just like the neighbors that are on Mission Road that are participating in this were flooded during the last big rain. Those pictures are from not just one rain, but 2 rains. So it's not just a 100-year rain that causes problems. That's 2 different rains. So I want to, again, there's so many pieces of this that are in our city's documents that were obviously put there because they were important, because they were necessary, and this is obviously a lot of legalese, but this is many, many pages of your own stormwater management that we'd like to see addressed. But as to the zoning, again, those requirements were put in place because they made sense. They were approved by our citizens. And we hope that we'll love our new neighbors when they move in, and we hope that they'll adhere to our guidelines and to our rules and to our laws. But we're not concerned with them yet. They don't live in Prairie Village. They're not paying taxes, at least not on that property. They're not part of the homeowners association. And we care about those of us that live here now. Okay? So I think I probably said more than I needed to, but I hope you understand my thoughts. And if you have any questions, I certainly would be willing to answer. I'd like to also say that there were several people that could not be here tonight that wanted to be and can't speak because 2 of our neighbors work out of town and a couple others just were busy and one is a little infirm. So they can't be here.
Please tell them that we are accessible by phone and by email, or if they need to be heard, contact us. Be sure and write a letter. Snail mail.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your listening.
Okay, anybody else?
Richard Lees, 3833 West 65th Terrace, Mission Hills. Suing's done a really good job, so I won't be redundant. My concern is I'm on the south side, down towards the Mission Road side. Originally, there was a dry retention pond, and to catch that water as it's coming down that north side, which the lady on Homestead Drive was speaking to, and that is what's coming on to our properties and flooding one of the houses that's next door to me. And so I think that replacement of that and directing that water to the storm sewer for the 100-year flood would make that storm sewer work better.
Is that where they're proposing a berm on the
Yes.
south side, and
And I didn't tell you how high the berm is. It's an 18-inch berm.
Okay.
I think we
And
need
there
to
was a
have a little more
retention.
height.
Retention,
Originally, in the plan that I saw a dry retention,
yeah.
which would, as that water was coming down, it would come across. And then the storm sewer is great, but we got to direct it to the storm sewer. If it's just coming straight down, what is the storm sewer doing? If the water is being directed towards it.
Okay. Okay.
That's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. East. Anyone else? All right, I'm not going to close the public hearing yet. I think I'll just leave it at this point and give the panel an opportunity to discuss. Is there anything that the applicant would like to add at this time before we go into discussion?
No, I think our decision at this point is that as I've learned more about the process is to request a continuation and then try to have further discussions with the neighbors and to try to figure out how we resolve some of these issues.
Okay, so a continuation and a continuation of the public hearing is what I'm hearing. But do you all want to discuss some of the items that you've heard this evening, or do you want to say that for the continuation and anyway?
I would like to, from a staff perspective,
Please.
we would like to get some feedback on what you've seen, right? And questions we might be able to respond to better as we go.
Okay. Mr. Merkel?
Quick question. The rear setback we expanded from 25 foot to 30 foot, is that being here too this point?
It's 25 feet. It did not change. So everything that was passed that would still, they cannot build larger than the 30% rule. That's passed. It would not encroach upon the rear setback anymore. They would maintain the front setback. It is strictly the side setback that they asked for. And when we met with them, what we didn't want to have happen is have 11 variances come into you for consideration. So if you're going to build a certain size, the rationale was to have it as a plan district.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question for the staff. So the requested relief they're seeking just affects the side setback. Is that right? Or is what the neighbors have said, this could open up Pandora's box?
Just a side setback. There could be no other variations unless they came to you for a specific approval. So the only thing you're considering is what was written.
So that, just so I'm clear, the only difference between RP1A and R1A is the side setback, 20% versus 17.
Under this application.
Under this application. So the concern about them being able to take advantage of other differences between R1A and RP1A isn't going to happen here.
That is correct, based on the application.
Got it.
Okay. After hearing a lot of what has been said tonight, my question for staff is, there is one house that is non-conforming. And what if the applicant asked for a variance for that one house, since number 4 and number 11, lot 4 and 11 are conforming, and the rest have yet to be designed and have yet to be sold. So it would just be a variance for the side setback for that one house. And the only people that it would
We explored that.
impact would be 9 and 7. And those have yet to be sold.
Correct, and we explored that, and we asked the developer and the realtor, what are your plans for the other lots? Is the expectation that it would be a similar sized house? If that is so, we cannot come in, we do not want to come in with 11 variances. And so, at the discretion of the applicant, he felt that this could certainly be in play on the other lots. And so, if that's the case, we would rather have one meeting, one decision point, and you make that determination.
Mr. Bash, what about lots 9 and 7? Have you sold those or have interested parties in them?
Those are still owned by the developer.
Okay. So those could be sold with the knowledge of a variance of just one house to allow us to stay in the R1A zoning.
I don't understand the variance. So if we ask for a variance for lot 8, would it be lot 9 and lot 7 that would then have to sign off on it and that's it?
Well, they would have to have the 7-foot setbacks on their lots. But there would be a variance on lot 8.
They'd have to have the 7-foot setbacks or the 7-foot?
The 20%. I'm sorry, the 20%.
They'd have to meet
The new code.
standards. Every lot, except for the one that has already been designed and is ready for a ground, would have to meet the 20%. If she's suggesting to make an exception for the people who already have a
Right.
that's ready.
My question would be, would those other, let's say lot 9 wants the same variance. Is that not a possibility then?
I think that you would be taking the chance that they would have to come and ask for a variance for every lot. And that's a lot of paperwork and a lot of expense for you to file, I think, and staff time. What I was trying to do is come up with an option, and Cory, you can weigh in on this. I'm trying to look at an option so that we can maintain the R1A status, give you the one house that you don't want to lose, and although you've told me there are a couple of other houses that may fail because they don't want to file the 20%.
There's certainly There's certainly at least one, possibly two, possibly three, that are looking for the 7-foot setbacks. One of which is early on, and I believe, because he's in the same field as one of the other lot owners, he purposely put in verbiage that if we didn't have this get passed, that he would have the opportunity to also get his money back and leave his contract.
Well, I leave it with you all. I think this is a possibility that the planning commission could explore. I'm not saying that they would vote for it, but
Sure.
you could ask for the variance on the one house that you've sold and have designed, and then the others, 4 and 11, already meet the standards. And I don't know when you sold the other 2 lots, but I would think that you should have had notice that that's what, I'd have to ask you for your each contract and what date and all of that, and I'm not sure that I care. The fact is that this has been a highly publicized, that Prairie Village has been going through and had neighbors, meeting with the neighbors after meeting after meeting after meeting. We met with developers, people who tear down houses and rebuild, and so we weren't doing this in any kind of a vacuum. And I'm trying to give you an alternative,
right.
and maybe it's Cory I should be talking to rather than the salesman, but
And I completely understand. I actually know the original operator back. Unfortunately, it wasn't in my knowledge, and I understand that there's some people may second guess that, but I'm sure it wasn't in my knowledge until Andy and I had a discussion about it once, and he reached out to try to get information, and the information he got back, at least as he understood it, that did not affect us, as understood. So that was the knowledge that we got.
So, do you want? I'm going to ask you to make a decision. Do you want to go down the RP1A zoning? Is that what you really want, or do you want to possibly look at a variance on one house with the knowledge that the rest of them will have to conform?
Yeah, obviously I'd like to, just kind of request that continuation, because, this puts me in a position to go back to these other people that have commitments on these lots and have more in-depth conversations with them to see if we can navigate through this, what our alternatives with them are as well. Because I don't want to just automatically exclude them without having further discussions with them.
All right.
Madam Chair, just to clarify as well, the variance process is a different application, and it would be the Board of Adjustments and separate criteria as well.
Right.
So that was one of the reasons when we discussed with the applicant those options, we saw the potential for a series of them coming. It seemed technically inappropriate to do that because it wasn't necessarily unique or hardship. But
we can look at this as a hardship for one house.
correct.
And then basically say, one house gets the variance, don't come to us with other variances.
Correct.
You know what the rules are.
Yeah, and that would just take it would be a different meeting to do that.
Absolutely.
But yes, I just wanted to clarify that.
But I'm trying to broker some kind of a deal here with you. Okay, Mr. Shondell, you had your hand up. Would you like to speak again?
I guess my concern, again, I'm not an expert on this, but, when we, if the planning commission agrees to be part of it, and if work something else out, that's great.
I have no idea.
But on the I would, want to make sure the commission is aware, at least based on the zoning regulations of the city of Prairie Village, that if you allow this RP1A rezoning, that does change the nature of any future variances. We're promised now that there's only one side setbacks only we're talking about. But again, we've heard a lot of stuff in the past where we were told this is all that's going to happen. Not the least of which is my totally off the subject, the big pet peeves of cutting down or bulldozing down 60-foot trees that would have addressed most of all the issue between screening, scale, drainage and everything else. So things do change, but allowing the RP1A zoning, even though we're only considering this one variance, does, allow and put on the table a whole different, problem down the road for the remaining neighborhood. We're not just dealing with this one today, and if you change it, it does allow for other things.
Thank you.
It does not.
It does not.
I want to clarify.
Okay.
It does not.
So, Madam Chair, I would move to continue PC 2016-06 to our January meeting.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded by Mr. Wolf and by Mr. Berman. Is there any discussion? I just want to say one thing, that I am concerned that while there are 11 lots right now, I don't know, and I have heard rumors as to the health of the rest of the Homestead Country Club, that there may be, this may not be the end of the development. There might be more, something from that. So we need to be cognizant that what we approve will carry through to the entire development, that there should be, that the country club portion should go away. So, just my comment, and this would continue the public hearing so that the public would have a chance in January, after you have met numerous times with staff and Mr. Childress, I'm sorry. So that you would have a chance to have your say one more time before we finally decide. And that would give them time to decide what they want to do, if they want to pursue the R1A or the RP1A. So that's for the public. And is there any other questions?
I just want to say, my hope is in January, none of these folks have to come, that it's easy.
Mine too.
All right?
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor, raise your hand. And it's unanimous. Okay, thank you for coming to the meeting. That's all we have for tonight, and we will see you in January on 11th. And time, do you need these back, or is this for us? Oh, okay.
Thanks again. I hope I see you at some more fun. How many dogs do we have?